Hi, welcome back to Scentuality. Today we're going to take a look at some software that you can use via perfumersworld.com. This is access to their website, and what you need to do is you need to go to the section called the Perfumers Wizard Online, and we'll just wait for that to load. It'll bring you to a login screen. You do have to be a member in order to use this part of their website. Once you've logged in, you'll be presented with a screen like this. Basically, you've got these different options. This is just taking you back to your dashboard, which I'll click on it just to show you. Now, from this page, you can access various different types of information, but this isn't something I really want to highlight in this video, so I'm just going to go back. And what we're going to be looking at the Perfumers Wizard and also write my own formula. So we'll start with write my own formula. So this basically enables you to write your formula basically, but you can only use the inventory from the Perfumers World's website. So everything that they sell, you can use to write your formula. So let's just make a small formula up just as an example. So we'll take ISO-E Super and we'll get an online calculator. And we'll go off the relative odor impact of each oil. And that's how we will decide how much of each oil to use. Now, when you bring up a material, you get a little bit of information on that material. And here we have the relative odor impact, which in the case of ISO-E Super at full strength, it has an impact of 40. So what we need to do is we need to do 100 over 40, and that gives us 2.5. And then we will click OK. At this point, it will ask you to name your formula. We'll just call this example. And it's added the first oil to our formula. Down here you can see this is a visual representation, and this basically gives you a visual representation of all the different smell components of your perfume. So you've got this brown is the percentage of wood. Here you have a percentage of a mossy note, and here you have a percentage of an animal note. And this is all from ISO-E Super. When we add more things, this pie chart will change. So let's add Hedione. That has an impact of 65, 100 over 65, 1.53. And now, as you can see, it's added a jasmine component to this pie chart. Now we'll add a musk. We'll go with galaxolide. That also has a relative odor impact of 60. So if I remember correctly, that was the relative odor impact of ISO-E Super, although I may be wrong, so I'll just double check. 100 divided by 60. No, slightly different. 1.66. Okay, so we've got ISO-E Super, we've got Hedione, we've got galaxolide. Let's add some labdanum. Well, it doesn't really matter. If we add it 400, so that has an impact of 400. 100 over 400, and we get 0.25. 0.25. And let's add some patchouli. That's 98, so practically a gram. 100 divided by 98. That gives us 1.02. Let's add some bergamot. Impact of 110. 0.90. And let's add some vanillin. 2.7. $1.59, and let's just leave it there. So say you've finished adding all of your materials to your formula. Down here you can see this shows you a total, and we've so far got 9.45. So this is grams, we've got 9.45 grams. But really what we want is we want a formula that adds up to 100, because this makes it easier to scale our perfume up and down. So in order to do this, on this screen, all you have to do is click on round off, and it will round your formula up to 100. And then let's just say we wanted to make just 1 gram. You would go up here, you would just type in 1, hit the calculator icon, and in this column it shows you how much of each oil to add in order to make 1 gram of compound. So this is a really handy tool, especially if you've already got your formula. If you just want something that helps you round up your formula and then does all the calculations for you with regards to however much you want to make. You know, if you want to make a 30 milliliter bottle at 15%, then you want 4.5 grams of compound. So yeah, this is a really good tool. You do get a little bit more information on here in terms of how much this perfume actually costs to make, how much it is per kilo, per pound, and bulk price. Now this kind of relates to Perfumers World's business model, and you know, the Perfumers Wizard is more to do with that, but it basically, Perfumers World, they offer a service where they compound your fragrance for you. And this is what this refers to. So for this formula that I've made, they will make it up for me, and I can buy 1 kilo of the compound from them, or I can buy 1 pound, etc., etc. And that's basically what this does in a nutshell. And if you look down here now on the pie chart, we've got a much more complex perfume. We've got a lot more notes, and that's also something that's really good to look at. I really do appreciate the visuals when it comes to perfume, because it just helps you understand your perfume in a different way, basically. You know, it's really helpful, I find, to have like pie charts, mind maps, that kind of thing, especially to do with the perfume. You've got all these different components, and it's very useful to see what your perfume is comprised of. You know, musk, wood, vanilla, spice, balsam, narcotic, linalool, etc., etc. So I really do appreciate that element of this little piece of online software. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go backwards, and we're going to take a look at the Perfumers Wizard. Now this is specifically tied to their business model. Now you can use it without going the distance, but basically the idea behind it, so you can see there are different things here that we can make, but we're just going to stick to perfume and cologne. Now if I was to pay for this, it would then allow me to choose natural materials only, or it would allow me to disclude all of the Perfumers World's bases. And the idea is basically this is an algorithm which creates a perfume for you. So if you're a business and let's say you have a shampoo, or you want to release a cologne or an eau de toilette, whatever it is that needs to have a perfume, you would basically use this algorithm to design you a perfume, and then you can buy a sample of 7 grams, and the Perfumers World will send you it in the post, the compound, and then basically you go backwards and forth with the Perfumers World, and you try to work on that original formula until you have exactly what you want. And each time it goes backwards and forwards, I think you pay something like $10. And there are other price plans with regards to exactly what you want. But yeah, it's like an ongoing process of, you know, getting a perfume for your product. But you can use this algorithm without having any further communication with the Perfumers World. And I've tested this out. I've made several formulas based on this algorithm, and there are a few, I wouldn't say there are any negatives about it. I don't believe it's a, I was curious, you know, to begin with. When I originally paid for this, I think it only cost like $3 something for 7 days of use. But I thought it was just a piece of software that helped you, well, didn't help you, but aided you, by providing a template for you to write up your own formula. But actually, it's an algorithm which designs a formula for you. So I don't currently pay for this, so I can't disclude the Perfumers World bases. This is slightly problematic because it pretty much will only choose the Perfumers World bases unless you actually pay to use this piece of software. But we'll just demonstrate now. As you can see here, there's the custom creation kit. This is something that they offer for sale, and it will design you a perfume just using those oils that come with that kit. And I assume it's the same for the perfumery training kit. But we're just going to click on all Perfumers World materials. Now, we don't have the option of deciding how many oils we want in our formula because we haven't paid for it. Medium, I'm not quite sure, that might be something like 15 to 25. Keep it simple is probably just going to be 10. So we'll just keep it simple for this demonstration. And then what you get is you get this screen. Now this is basically where you add all of your adjectives and you put in all of your keywords that describe the kind of perfume that you want to make. Or you can just click on this drop down here, and it already has all these different types of perfumes entered in, and it has a set of adjectives connected to them. So if we just click on this one, so this is masculine or feminine lavender, green, armoy, Hedion, etc. So in here it's added the adjectives masculine, feminine, lavender, green, armoy, Hedion, wood, moss, coumarin, cologne. Now, the way that this works is if you want the algorithm to know that you want a large part of your perfume to be a specific note, then you have to add the adjective more than once. So here it's added masculine twice, which is supposed to mean that the algorithm will pay attention to that and it will make it slightly more masculine. The same if you write cologne 3 times. The idea is it will understand that you really want to use cologne in your formula. However, this isn't perfect, and what I find is the algorithm kind of just, it makes something that works regardless of whatever you tell it to do. So I'm not too sure how it's programmed. I think it probably relates to how Perfumers will classify all of the different different molecules. What do they call it? They call it the ABCs of perfumery. And also, I imagine it takes into account the relative odor impact of each oil. But yeah, it doesn't make a perfect perfume. But as I say, it's to do with their business model, and the idea is you get somewhere to start from, and then you go backwards and forwards with Perfumers World. And the Perfumers World perfumers, they basically work on the formula for you. The other thing it's worth to mention is that they co-own this formula with you. I'm not too sure what the implications of that are. That's all it says on their website. But if you are working with them with this formula, they also own it. So it's worth bearing that in mind if you do want to use this piece of software in order to get somebody else to make a fragrance for you for your product. But basically all I used it for was a little bit of education. Now, what I will say, and we'll just click on confirm your description just to get the formula up on the screen. As you can see here, the next screen it takes you to is this perfume. Now here you can alter the percentages of the different classifications of oil. So this is on 10 for citrus. You can take this up, you can take it down. The same with all of the other ones. And I guess this is the part where you have the freedom, although having said that, it still kind of does what it wants to do. And I think that's probably a good thing, because it seems to recognize if what you want to do doesn't quite work. And as I say, I'm not quite sure how the algorithm works, but the other thing what I want to mention is it does kind of tend to pick the same stuff, I find. So that's worth thinking about, because if you're wanting to use this piece of software because you don't want to do the work yourself, and you don't want to learn how to make a perfume, and you don't want to hone your skills, then yes, this will give you a formula, and it will be blended very well. It will be smooth, and as I said, I'm sure that's to do with the relative odor impact and making everything giving the perfume equilibrium by making sure that all of the oils are smelled in the headspace of the perfume, that all the oils are perceived in the headspace of the perfume. But yeah, it doesn't make a fantastic fragrance. You're not going to ask it to make a formula, and you're going to be like, wow, yes, this is a formula I can sell. That's just not going to happen. But I do find that it did give me some insight into is how the algorithm chooses specific oils and which other oils it puts them with. So it's a great way to discover some accords and some combinations of oils that you maybe never thought of putting together, and they actually smell really nice. So it can provide you with a lot of inspiration, and that's how I used it. I used it as a tool, and I basically studied the formulas. I made up several compounds, and then I just analyzed them, and I just looked to see how they were working, what things I liked about them, and I just found it very inspirational. It was an educational process, and that's really what I'm promoting right now. It's not the business model aspect of it, because that's not something I'm into. I want to make perfume myself, but I do think it's quite educational, and you can learn something. So we'll just go to the next screen and we'll click on confirm. We'll just leave everything as it is, and we'll see what the algorithm comes up with. It takes a little bit of time. Any second now. There we go. So here is our visual representation of our perfume, and down here we have the actual formula. Now we've clicked on keep it simple, and as you can see, it has a small number of oils, and as I said, because we haven't paid for it, it's just basically choosing bases, which isn't very helpful and isn't very creative. But I guess that is, encouraging you to pay for it, and it is really cheap and it's really worth it. It only costs something like $3 something to use it for 7 days, which is really inexpensive. So yeah, as you can see, we've got an Armoy Fluorescence, an Armoy. This is just another base. Lavender Green Absolute. This is not a base. Sandalwood. This is a base. Moss. This is a base. This is a base. And this is a base. And the curious thing is, these two are the same, and these two are the same. The only difference is that this is the updated version, and it's IFRA safe, as is this, and the fluorescence is the old version. So yeah, I'm curious as to why it's doubled up on those two bases when they're pretty much the same, and one may not be IFRA safe. But I am not sure whether it takes into account IFRA recommendations when you're coming up with a formula. I have noticed that all of the formulas that I've made, they have been safe and within the limits of IFRA, so it seems to do that. But yeah, as you can see, it totals everything up to 100, so you do need to scale it down if you want to make a small amount of compound. But the other useful thing is it gives you a basic overall odor life of your perfume, and this one has an odor life of 78, which really isn't too long. But that, in a nutshell, I mean, that's it. You can edit this, so we'll just click on edit, and basically we can edit quantities, we can substitute oils, and we can work on this formula and add more oils to it. So you do have a little bit of freedom, and you can be creative yourself. And indeed, if you just want to, get the algorithm to give you something to begin with, it is also a good tool for that. And it's a good place to generate ideas. Once you pay for the use of the software, there's a few other things that you get when you're on that screen where you add the adjectives and the type of perfume that you want to make. It does have this part where you can add an image, and then you can start coming up with your formula based on an image. A little bit of mind mapping. I haven't really used it, but it is there for you to use. So they have kind of considered the creative aspect of making a perfume, and they haven't made it complicated. It's very simple, it's very basic, it's visually not very challenging. It's very approachable. You know, even if you're not used to using a computer, you know, this isn't too difficult to understand, and it takes care of all the maths for you as well. So just as we made our own formula before, we've got this exact same screen here now, and up here we can ask it to make, you know, just a small number of compound. And there we have 1 gram. Now, because this is part of their business model, basically here we have sample price. So they'll send you 7 grams of this formula, compounded, and it will cost you $10. And then you would just, you know, go back to them, say, yes, I'm happy with this, I'm not happy with this, can we change this? I think every time they send you a sample, it's $10, and then I'm sure there's another fee every time they do something new to your formula. But as I say, this is a part of this is all tied into their business model. Let's see, is there anything else? Yes, there's something else that quite pertinent to mention, because let's just say you click on save. Now, what happens is it takes you to this screen, and if you click on PDF, and it will open the formula as a PDF so you can save it, but it will also send a notification to the Perfumers World, and you'll get a notification back saying that a representative will contact you with regards to making this perfume. Now, as I said, they co-own this formula with you, so there's nothing to say that you can't use this without going the distance with the business model aspect of this little piece of software. There's nothing to say that if you use it to make a formula that they co-own the formula, even if you don't go forward with it and contact them, etc., etc. So I would assume that because they allow you to use it without restriction and without going forward with you know, this business arrangement, then it is quite okay for you to use it and generate formulas, and, you know, just be generally creative with it. And yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Basically, that's pretty much all that it does. Here we have down here Perfumers modification. So yeah, I guess it's just $10 every time you make a change with the formula, and then they send you another sample. And as I say, that's if you're wanting somebody else to make a perfume for your product. But that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to talk about. They do have a downloadable desktop piece of software, which I will make a separate video about. But this is basically what you can do on their website in terms of creating your own formulas. It is helpful, it is educational, it's very easy to use, and I do recommend it. So that's it for this video. I'll be posting another video in the next couple of days, just going over the desktop software that the Perfumers World have, and a couple of days after that I will be uploading another video just talking about the software that I currently use. It's a really good piece of software, and more importantly, it's absolutely free. So in the meantime, have fun making perfume, and I'll see you again shortly.